Please subscribe show. YouTube Cole Spivey. Yeah, man.
So I know that I showed the hip pocket oak acres. This was actually, whoa. Okay, so I know I was talking about hip pockets, oak acres. When Hip Pocket was at Oak Acres, we did do the three cuckolds, and this is a photo. Don't remember the actors. That's me as Arlecchino. Don't remember her name, and I don't remember her name. She was a dancer, and I don't remember, she was someone else, but you can't really see them in the photo. It's in the Star Telegram. This was the photo that was in the Star Telegram. This was the 1994 summer, if I'm not mistaken, I think, or 93 summer. No, it probably was 94 summer. Or 93. So I graduated in 93. It'd have to be the 1994 summer of the three cuckolds. I think it was the same year we did Adventures with Jesus. And the same year that we did, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the three cuckolds was one of them. The first we did, it's actually called Girls from Girdleville Greet Men in BVDs. Then they did Lake of the Apes. Then they did Adventures with Jesus, and then the three cuckolds. And then they were going to do a lineup of Ed Wood eventually. And that's whenever I ran off to Texas Wesleyan. I did Streetcar Named Desire. But I did this, and this was a photo I had that I still have. I wish I could remember her name. She's probably still around. And then this lady's name. But I was playing Arlecchino, and they were the wives of the Zanies. And you have to read the three cuckolds to understand it. But that was the years. This thing is old right here. It's very old. But I had kept this photo for quite a bit of time. I've got other stuff too. I'll drag out some of the other stuff I have. So that year at Hip Pocket, we did do Adventures with Jesus. And this one states Mark Friedman left, who played Jesus, and me, Cole Spivey, performed a scene from Hip Pocket Theater's production of Adventures with Jesus, which this happened at Hip Pocket. And this is the Passion Eludes This Unhip Gospel. This is the write-up. So it talks about, I'm getting major interruptions right now, so I'm sorry, but it talks about the gospel of John the Baptist and the musical Godspell's mentioned. And here's the dates on it right here. Adventures with Jesus, Luke 1 through 24. I'm gonna get back to you. I'm getting major interruptions right now, so I'm gonna get back to this. So that year, Johnny Simons went to direct this, and we got mostly a church crowd, church audience members showed up. So we had a sellout night. Every night it sold out. This talks about, you would expect a play titled Adventures with Jesus to be very unchurchy in tone, especially when said play is produced by a risk-taking secular Hip Pocket Theater. Surprise, surprise. The latest work of writer-director Johnny Simons is a straightforward telling of the gospel according to Luke. So we actually did the play from the Gospel of Luke. So the script was actually NIV Bible. And that was just side notes were written. So we had, you could take the NIV Bible with you to the actual play or to the rehearsals. You couldn't take the King James Version though. He didn't like that. He wanted it to be NIV. It was a more modern Bible. So this article, and you could probably freeze frame it to read it, talks about the play. And I made the cover. That was me playing Luke. So I remember I used to start it off, every night with the words, "Dear Theophilus." And Mark, who played Jesus, was backstage, and I would go backstage before Mark would come on as Jesus, and he would say, "Every night, Cole, when you go out to introduce the play, to speak to dear Theophilus, it sounds like you're saying here at the office." And I would laugh at him. He was very good as Jesus. We talk about here dialogue and costumes, while not jarringly modern, are notable improvements on Easter pageant treatment. Adapter Simons took his text from the Good News New Testament. Okay, so that's actually where he took it from, the Good News New Testament. I thought it was the NIV. It's similar to the NIV and is intelligent 1992 translation of old manuscripts. Okay, I don't know if that's completely true, but designer Diane Simons did costumes, belongs either to no period or to various periods. Jesus wears baggy, earthy, Tony cotton slacks. Yeah, so Mark wore like these cotton slacks. It was somewhat modern. We did wear attire that did suggest ancient times, AD times, or but it mostly was done in kind of a modern fashion. But we did use work from like Bob Dylan for soundtrack from the band. So that was in it. The Bob Dylan song, I believe, is the one that starts with, it's the one about being released. When shall I be released? Or I shall be released. You know how the lyrics are. You look up the lyrics, but so we had like kind of rock and roll from the band. There was a few songs from the band, and I think there was a segment that was used from Peter Gabriel, but I don't know if it was. I don't think it was from the Passion of Christ, but it was some Peter Gabriel music that was in it too for soundtrack music. But Bob Dylan, "I Shall Be Released" was in it, in a segment of it. So it was kind of had a hip thing. Talked about Mary Magdalene here, played by Barbara George, and the governor, Herod, who was Dick Harris, who is no longer with us right now. He's passed away. However, they wear flowing garments that would fit into a traditional biblical era staging. So some people, like Jesus, for example, wore cotton pants that were slacky, dicky pants with a white t-shirt. And, Dick Harris would wear flowing garments that would fit into a traditional biblical era. So there was an anachronism, I guess you could call it. Anachronism is when something from modern day would stand out. But ideally it was, supposed to be in that time. Despite Johnny Simon's impeccable staging, that's a word that's used almost in all his reviews during that time of that year. I believe this was probably written, or at least somewhat probably written by Perry Stewart. I don't know for sure. I'd have to find out who wrote the article. Yeah, Perry Stewart wrote it right here. Perry Stewart. But the impeccable staging is something that Perry Stewart would always say about every Hip Pocket show. Friedman, not yet 20, I think he was 20 at this time, is gently commanding presence. He did do a good job. He doesn't preach, which Mark didn't really. Mark played him straight up. He teaches and approaches particularly effective in the telling of the parable. So it starts basically with Luke. The play started with me presenting the play or presenting the story to Theophilus, which is a person in high command of that time, of Luke's time. And so he's presenting the play, and then it goes into this whole story of Jesus from hitting upon the parts of Luke that everyone would know, the famous episodes of Jesus. Nothing was really too risque really about it, not a whole lot. I didn't think it was too risque. But this is a good article if you can go back and maybe read this. Here's something, the musical Godspell cast the same actor as John the Baptist and Judas Iscariot. Adventures, I guess they're talking about Adventures with Jesus, takes a similar route, assigning David Armendariz, who did a good job. I believe did a desperate roles of the angel Gabriel, right? He was a Hispanic man that he climbed a rope in it up a tree, and he did play Gabriel, and he also played Judas Iscariot. So Gabriel, the angel, and Judas, an intriguing device, and it welcomes a bit spice. We find Jesus, betrayer, literally laying with the devil. Tracy Foster. She was a dancer, Tracy Foster. Yes, Satan is the princess of darkness in this play. That seems only fair since it cast a woman as God and every man. Well, they did cast a woman as Satan in this one. Other standouts as large cast included Zelmer Phillips as, yes, Zelmer did very good. He was an artist that was in it, as John the Baptist, and Cole Spivey as Luke, and Christy Price Jenkins as Mary. John the Baptist as Jesus. Diverse mix of music features a pair of pleasantly drab songs written by Peggy Kirby and Harris Kirby. Yeah, they did play the mandolin in a few episodes when they introduced Jesus as a baby. Peggy and Harris were married. They actually did introduce that one moment. So that's one. And then another one is this one, which it's going to be very difficult for me to do this, because these are very old. I long got these. This was a very difficult play, and I'm probably not going to really be able to show this to you at the present moment. I'm going to have to go like this, and I'm going to have to kind of move this like this. It's going to be difficult for me to do because of how old these are. But this one was on stage review of The Three Cuckolds as Arlecchino, which here is September 9th, October 2nd. I want to say 94. It doesn't say the year. That was the old phone number for Hip Pocket. And you can see that it runs through North Las Vegas Trail. This was that was the address of Oak Acres, 1620 North Las Vegas Trail. That's where we were today. And this was the actual photo of on stage Three Cuckolds. I kind of took a little bit from Steve Martin when I did it. I also took a little bit from Dennis Hopper. I mean, I modeled Three Cuckolds off a lot of different people. Probably Johnny too, because Johnny directed me. A lot of movement. So it was a tremendous amount of movement, a lot of jumping around. Here's some of the old artwork that they used during that time. I'm trying to kind of get this out of the way because I've been editing and I've got this plugged up so that you can actually see it. And I'm still trying to. And I think that Perry Stewart loved it. So he said, no gestures too broad. The leers will be lascivious, the gestures broad and body when Hip Pocket Theater opens at Three Cuckolds Friday on its outdoor stage at Oak Acres. And that's where we were, was Oak Acres today. And this talks about the quintessential example of the commedia dell'arte style of low comedy was popular in Italy during the 16th and 17th century. Its plotline, which allows frequent improvisation, involves various tricks played by three young wives, played by Paula Phipps. That's Dina Brinkley Phillips, who's no longer with us, and Linda Boydston on their old ugly husbands. Pete Gooch, who was a writer and director for Hip Pocket right there. J.R. Peacock, who's no longer with us, and then Greg Dinsmore. And then Cole Spivey plays the charming Arlecchino, who improvises romantic interludes with all three wives. Johnny Simon is the director, Deion Simmons' costume. So that's who those two people were. Their names are right here. I found their names. Paula Phipps, and Dina's not in the photo, but Linda Boydston is. So those are the three right there. So there they are. This is actually, her name is Linda Boydston. And her name is Paula Phipps. Now, the other wife was Dina, but she's not actually in this photo. There's another photo that she's in, and her name was Dina Brinkley Phillips, and boy, was she a wild one to work with. So what ended up happening was I was asked to basically do Ed Wood. And I said, no, I can't do Ed Wood because I ran off to Texas Wesleyan to do Streetcar. And so we did Streetcar, and Deanne Simons actually helped. She helped with costumes. It even says in the review, after Cole Spivey will perform in Texas Wesleyan University Streetcar Named Desire. So I don't really know. Oh, I see. This was an article also. Perry Stewart was a big, Perry Stewart liked me. So Perry Stewart actually liked my performing. So he had actually wrote an article about 3 cuckolds and then mentioned Texas Wesleyan Streetcar. And then this is the Tarrant County, Texas Wesleyan. I guess this was a Star Telegram. We made the Star Telegram for Streetcar, and that was Shelley Pruitt as Stella and April Brown, who played, I'm sorry, they have it wrong. Cole Spivey as Stanley, and Shelley Pruitt was not Stella. Shelley Pruitt was actually Blanche. They messed up on it, so this was a misprint. April Brown actually played Stella and was not in this photo. So that was Blanche, played by Shelley Pruitt. I don't know why they put Stella right there. This was a very controversial play at the time. It caused some fights. 6 productions that year at Texas Wesleyan. There was Lady House Blues, Dolly's Deadly Dilemma, and the Heidi Chronicles. None of those, only the Heidi Chronicles, which I was in, and I had an episode where I had to be removed from the school during Heidi Chronicles. I don't think these other ones were on. Only the Heidi Chronicles later on. And then the 1940s Radio Hour, I was actually, had gone to kind of like I had to take a break from everything. I had to take a break for a while. And I guess they thought maybe I was on drugs or something. I went to rehab for a couple of weeks. But I got back and I got better. And when I got back, the 1940s Radio Hour was showing. But they had staged Streetcar at Texas Wesleyan. And it was actually a pretty good production. We did get some attention. I got an award where I was invited to perform other scenes at the Kennedy Center, which is actually in Washington, D.C., because of Streetcar. So it was called an Irene Ryan Award for the role I played of Stanley. I was basing it, believe it or not, a lot on Christopher Walken. I was watching some of Christopher Walken stuff, because Christopher Walken actually did a version of Stanley Kowalski. But anyway, I mean, Ken Stilson was one of the directors of it right there. And Deanne Simons actually did help with the costumes. It was a pretty good production for college level. It was pretty good. But anyway, that's the cuckolds right there. The 3 cuckolds, which we did. And then one of my favorite shows they did, I really liked, not just the cuckolds, but I really liked this one. I thought it was a good show for Hip Pocket.